by the light of the fire's flame, Maria would sit by the side of the fire and she would wish in all of this world that she had a child that she could hold in her arms. For she and her husband had never had any children of their own, but the snow fell outside and Maria wished out loud. As we've all done, she wished out loud and spoke so that her husband could hear. She said this: "Oh, I wish that we could have had a child of our own." And as she watched the snow getting heavier and deeper upon the ground, her husband smiled. He reached towards her and took her hand. "Maria, we shall go out, and we play outside, and we shall play with the children, and we shall slide and sledge and skate, and we shall make ourselves a snowman. No, we shall make ourselves a snow child." The people who lived inside of the village, when they saw Maria and her husband making a snowman, no, a snow child, they started to laugh at first, thinking that they had lost their minds, but they soon made this snow child, and it grew bigger, and they'd made sure that it had long straight hair and a smile upon its lips, and Maria looked and danced around and made fine clothes for it, and then her husband reached over towards it and stroked at its cheek, but pulled his hand back, for as soon as he touched the cheek of the child, the snow child that they had made, he could feel warm breath upon his fingers, and then that snow child shook itself. It shook itself, and all of the snow fell off its skin, and there was a child, a girl, with long straight hair, a smile upon her lips, but her skin was as cold as the snow that had made her. But Maria did not care. She held this cold child in her arms and said, "Oh, my child, I shall call you Snowflake, for it is the snow that falls that has made you, and you shall live inside of our house." But I've got to tell you that everyone who lived inside of that village was very pleased for Maria and her husband. They were pleased to see that they did have a child of their own. And all of the children in that town would come and they would knock upon the door and they would call for Snowflake, and for the way that she was made was from snow, but she looked like a child. And they would come and they would say, "Please, Snowflake, come and dance and play with us." And when the snow fell and lay upon the ground, Snowflake would be the first to go out of the door. She would make snowballs and throw them. She would slide on the ice. She would skate and dance and sing. And everyone said that she was the most beautiful child that they had ever laid their eyes upon. But at night, when she would come in from her playing, Maria and her husband would say, "Please, come and sit with us. Come and sit with us by the side of the fire." But Snowflake would speak, a voice as sweet as honey in the air. "No, father, and no, mother. No, I shall sit in the coldest part of the house, if that is all right with you." Maria and her husband were just pleased that they had a child that they could share their lives with. And every day it seemed as if she grew taller and stronger and more beautiful. But snow does not lie upon the ground forever. And the snow soon stopped and the wind would blow, and now the green of the grass would poke from those bits of snow that had still been left. And the children would come and say, "Snowflake, Snowflake, come out and play with us." But Snowflake would ask that they would only play inside of all of the trees. Play in the trees where the wind did not blow and the sun didn't shine and the snow lingered longer than it would upon the road or the paths in the town. And every day she would sit far away from the fire, and sometimes if the sun would shine she would not go out at all. But the children were insistent. They would knock upon the door, they would come, they would plead, they would beg, they would say, "Oh, Snowflake, you are the best of us all, you can sing better than all of us, you play it so well, and please come out." And she could not refuse, and her hand was grabbed, and for the first time in many months, Snowflake was taken from out of the house, and the children knew that she would want to play inside of all of the trees So they started a long dance where a boy would hold a girl's hand, a girl would hold a boy's hand, and in one great long line they danced this way and that, and they danced through all of the town and towards the trees and through the trees and into the middle of the forest. There was a smell of smoke in the air, for I tell you that this is a story from a long time ago, and at that time people would burn wood and coal upon their fires, so it was not so unusual, and still the children danced. And the music that they made and the singing filled the trees, and in the middle of the forest, now that winter was at its end and spring was about to begin, they had swept up all of the leaves, the dry dusty leaves, and put them into a great pile. And in the clearing in the middle of the forest they had made a fire that burned of all of the leaves to show the end of the winter and the beginning of spring. And one by one, the girls and the boys, they danced in the great long snake, this way and that, in amongst all of the trees, and when they came close to the small fire, they would jump over the top of it, one by one, girl after boy and boy after girl. And there was a boy who was holding Snowflake's hand, and they got closer and closer towards the flames and the fire, and Snowflake had a smile upon her face, and the boy jumped over the flames and pulled Snowflake, and as he pulled her over the fire, her hand, which was as cold as ice, was gone. He looked this way and that. The children could not work out why this long chain that ended winter and started spring had been broken. For the boy who had held her other hand, he too had found that her hand had gone. And it was as they looked up, all they could see was a mist, a cloud, with a sigh that rose up into the sky. For in that short time when Snowflake had met ice to fire, she'd gone up into the air. Maria, when she did not return, did not know what to say, did not know what to do. Her husband did not seem to be able to comfort her, but they would wait and watch and look out of the window and wait for the time when the snow would fall, and they would wish upon wish that the snow would fall deep, heavier than it had ever fallen, and they would go outside